So what kind of soul searching are the Democrats doing at the moment? How much of this can be laid at the feet of Kamala Harris herself, but also the team behind her? Was there too much, moralising on social issues? Was their message not crisp and clean enough? What was it, Nathan?
So the short answer to the first question about whether there's too much moralizing on social issues, the answer is definitely yes.
Mm.
Was the message not crisp enough? The answer is definitely yes. But the other reasons why she lost, number one is that Joe Biden is, for right or wrong, a historically unpopular president. No one will leave the White House with lower approval ratings than any president since 2008.
Mm.
He had a 48% approval rating. 61% of Americans going into this election said they wanted a major change from the Biden-Harris administration.
Nathan, can I just
So,
pick you up there on just ask you a question about that and the approval ratings and the unpopularity of Joe Biden? Is it because, not because he's deemed a bad guy by the American public, not because his heart's not in the right place, but because over the last couple of years, his cognitive decline has been so apparent. And one of the things that struck me about this campaign is that Kamala Harris and the Democrats never admitted that to the American public and therefore couldn't tell the story as to why Kamala Harris was all of a sudden there.
and that is a fair criticism. I will say that is a fair criticism of my party. I think Joe Biden was unpopular for three reasons. Number one, he didn't talk about the economy. He didn't give us much of a message on the economy. He didn't have any credibility in the economy. The economy was the number one issue in this year's elections. That was the issue more important than any other to American voters. The second issue, tied, was immigration and abortion, and he had zero credibility on immigration. Abortion, Democrats would win on their argument of abortion, but that's only one of the top three issues.
Mm.
But then the other reason that he was so unpopular is, as you said, I think that the White House lost credibility with American people when they told them that he was fine. Because people would see videos of him and they would hear him talk and they would think, he doesn't seem fine. It doesn't seem like he has the cognitive capacity to be the United States president. But our White House would say, you're not seeing it right. Sometimes they'd be critical, saying you're being ageist, but they defended that. And I think as a result, not only was it wrong, but I think it cost them credibility points with the American public.
Yeah, I think so too. So as we sit here and given, we'll go back to the beginning, Donald Trump won on every single metric. I mean, there weren't any counties or one county where Kamala Harris increased the vote of Joe Biden, at least in the swing states. So for all the warnings from Liz Cheney, from within the Democrats about how bad Donald Trump would be for democracy, for women's rights, et al. Do you sit here today and still believe that he is going to be the monster, the tyrant that he was made out to be in the campaign?
Well, I think that is what Democrats have to reconcile right now. Is certainly gave that they gave that warning that he would be. Look, I mean, I haven't spent too much time talking about my personal opinions on Donald Trump, and I am concerned about the way he wants to lead the country.
Yeah.
But the reason Donald Trump won is because when the New York Times did a poll right before the election of the top issues, as I mentioned before, it was economy number one, immigration and abortion tied for two. A distant fourth was democracy. That was at 6%. So 15% of voters thought immigration and abortion were the most important issue. 27% thought the economy was. Only 7% thought democracy was. And Harris and Walz try to make democracy a kitchen table issue, but it's not. It's an ivory tower issue. It's not an issue that most people think about. And I think if you put Donald Trump's personality on the ballot, I think he would lose. Because I don't think, and in fact, Donald Trump going into the election was less popular than Harris. It's just that voters said, regardless of all of that, we have faith, we have more faith at least, that he'll fix the economy and fix immigration.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's something about Trump voters, and now the majority of America, it would seem, that take Trump seriously but not literally. And that's an important distinction that the Democrats forgot from the 2016 election as well. I mean, there were, on CNN, there were 3 days of moralising about a comedian at Madison Square Garden who called Puerto Rico a floating pile of garbage. 3 days of panel chats, wall to wall. And then what happens in places like Pennsylvania, around Philly in particular, in Florida, Donald Trump increased their votes. So there's something in that, isn't there? Puerto Ricans see themselves as Americans. There's a reason why they're living in America, not Puerto Rico. And that seemed to pass a lot of the Democrats by and a lot of the mainstream media.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I have to confess, I'm a little bit part of the problem because I thought the comedian was a little bit offensive. I mean, I thought he was funny, but I thought that the joke about Puerto Rico and then his joke about African Americans was sort of offensive. I didn't
Yeah.
think we should on it as a campaign, but I didn't think it was a little offensive. But you're right. Donald Trump did better with Latino voters than anyone in recent history, any Republican in recent history.
It's wild, isn't it?
Yeah, Harris only got 52% of the Latino vote. Traditionally, Democrats need 64%. And Donald Trump got 55% of Latino men. So
Wow.
he got the majority of Latino men, despite all of the talk about immigration and the Puerto Rico jokes. 55% of Latino men voted for Donald Trump.
There's so much I want to talk to you about with the result and the election, but we are well out of time, Nathan. But really, thank you. I really appreciate your time on the program as always. We'll do this again soon.